The early morning sun filtered through the grand windows of the Okoye estate, casting a warm glow over the elegantly furnished sitting room. Seated gracefully on a velvet armchair was Ngozi Okoye, the poised and formidable matriarch of the powerful Okoye family. Despite the serene ambience of her surroundings, a hint of concern lingered in her sharp eyes as she stirred her tea, her thoughts consumed by the solitary life of her only son, Chidi Okoye. Chidi, a 32-year-old tech billionaire, had built a sprawling empire, Okoye Tech Ventures, from the ground up. Headquartered in Lagos, Nigeria, it was one of the most innovative tech firms in the country. Yet, despite his success, Chidi had remained an enigma, keeping to himself and avoiding the public eye. His striking good looks, sharp intellect, and quiet demeanor made him a highly sought-after bachelor, but he shunned relationships, convinced that women were drawn only to his wealth and status. Ngozi's concern had grown over the years. She longed to see Chidi share his life with someone who would truly love and appreciate him, not for the Okoye fortune, but for the compassionate and humble man she had raised. It was during a casual afternoon gathering with her close friends that her worries reached a boiling point. Seated among the chatter and laughter of her peers, Ngozi overheard a whispered remark that stung like a thorn. "Chidi is too intimidating for women," one of her friends said, sipping her wine. "He's brilliant, yes, but too aloof. No woman could feel comfortable approaching him." Another chimed in, "And honestly, with his wealth, how could anyone know if a woman loves him or his money?" Ngozi masked her irritation with a polite smile, but inside, she was fuming. She knew the world was quick to judge, but the idea that her son might live his life without ever experiencing true companionship was unbearable. Something had to be done, and if Chidi was too cautious to take the first step, she would do it for him. Later that evening, as the quiet hum of the estate filled the air, Ngozi formulated her plan. She knew Chidi's heart. Beneath his guarded exterior was a man who valued integrity and sincerity. If he were to find love, it would have to be with someone who saw him as a person, not as a bank account or a status symbol. To identify such a woman, Ngozi realized she needed a unique vantage point, one where she could observe people without the influence of her family's name. The idea came to her like a flash of lightning. She would go undercover at Okoye Tech Ventures. Not as herself, but as a humble cleaner. It was a position that would make her invisible to most and allow her to observe the employees without pretense. She imagined the reactions she might face: disdain, indifference, or even kindness. The next morning, Ngozi began her transformation. Gone were her designer outfits and diamond-studded accessories. In their place, she donned a faded Ankara dress, a matching head wrap, and simple, worn-out sandals. She tied her braided hair into a neat bun, making herself unrecognizable as the elegant matriarch of the Okoye family. A pair of thick, old-fashioned glasses completed her disguise, softening her sharp, regal features. Standing in front of her mirror, Ngozi couldn't help but smile at her reflection. She looked every bit the part of Mama Chika, an unassuming older woman hired to clean the floors and take out the trash. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and nervousness. It was the most unconventional plan she had ever devised, but it was one she believed would lead her son to happiness. With her decision made, Ngozi set off to her son's company, ready to begin her undercover mission as Mama Chika. Little did she know, her journey would uncover truths about those around her and herself that she never expected. Dressed in her modest Ankara dress, head wrap, and worn sandals, Ngozi Okoye stepped into the bustling offices of Okoye Tech Ventures. The gleaming glass doors and sleek modern interior of her son's tech empire were a stark contrast to her humble disguise as Mama Chika. Despite the nerves fluttering in her stomach, Ngozi held her head high. Her mission was clear: to find a woman who could love her son for who he truly was, not for his billions. Her first day as Mama Chika began quietly. Most employees barely glanced her way as she moved through the halls, pushing a cleaning cart and discreetly observing the interactions around her. A few gave her indifferent nods, while others stepped around her as if she were invisible. Ngozi took note of everything, the subtle dynamics, the power plays, and the genuine moments of kindness or cruelty that often went unnoticed by those in power. One employee, however, quickly caught her attention, Amora Adigwe, the ambitious PR manager. Amora exuded confidence, striding through the office in designer suits and towering heels, her polished exterior matched by her sharp tongue. Ngozi noticed how Amora lingered outside Chidi's office, flashing him practiced smiles and speaking in a voice that was just a touch too sweet. It was clear that Amora had her sights set on Chidi, viewing him as her golden ticket to wealth and influence. To Amora, Okoye Tech Ventures wasn't just a workplace, it was a stepping stone to a life of luxury, and she wasn't above stepping on others to get there. In stark contrast to Amora's calculated ambition was Zora Nwosu, a junior software engineer who stood out for all the right reasons. Zara worked quietly at her desk, often staying late to finish her tasks. What struck Ngozi most was Zora's warmth and humility. Unlike most of the employees who ignored her, Zara greeted Mama Chika with a genuine smile and even offered her coffee on her first day. Ngozi learned that Zora came from a modest background, supporting her younger siblings while pursuing her dream of creating innovative tech solutions. Despite her challenges, Zara carried herself with quiet dignity, showing kindness to everyone around her, cleaners, interns, and executives alike. As Ngozi cleaned nearby, she found herself smiling. Zara's resilience and character stood out like a beacon amidst the corporate chaos. Perhaps she is the one, Ngozi thought to herself, her heart warming at the possibility. The bright conference room at Okoye Tech Ventures buzzed with energy as employees prepared for their weekly meeting. Ngozi Okoye, disguised as Mama Chika, quietly wiped down the glass panels near the entrance, her ears attuned to the discussions within. Today's meeting was led by Chidi Okoye, and as always, his commanding yet humble presence had the room captivated. However, one person wasn't captivated in admiration, Amora Adigwe. Her sharp eyes darted between Chidi and Zora Nwosu, whose innovative ideas had recently begun to catch Chidi's attention. During the meeting, Chidi paused to commend Zora. "Your proposal for optimizing the app's user interface is brilliant, Zora. It shows a clear understanding of our customer base. Let's explore implementing it in the next phase." A ripple of surprise swept through the room, followed by polite applause. Zora smiled softly, her humility evident as she thanked Chidi. But across the table, Amora's perfectly painted lips curled into a scowl. The moment Chidi's gaze lingered on Zora, something shifted within her. How dare this junior employee, this nobody, steal the spotlight from me? Amora's mind raced with jealousy-fueled calculations. By the end of the day, the office was buzzing with whispers. Amora had wasted no time spreading rumors about Zora. "Did you hear about Zora?" she whispered to her clique of followers in the PR department. "Apparently, she's trying to cozy up to Chidi. It's all very strategic, first the extra hours, then those innovative ideas. She's clearly aiming for more than just professional success." Meanwhile, Ngozi, observing from the sidelines as Mama Chika, decided it was time to dig deeper into Zora's character. Over the following days, she created subtle challenges to see how Zora would react under pressure. One morning, Ngozi accidentally spilled coffee near Zora's workstation. Instead of reacting with irritation, Zora calmly helped clean up the mess, even reassuring Ngozi, "It's no trouble, Mama Chika. I'll help you wipe it down." Another time, Ngozi misplaced her cleaning supplies intentionally near Zora's desk. Instead of ignoring it, Zora noticed the supplies and quietly returned them to Ngozi with a kind smile. "Here you go, Mama Chika. I think you left these near my workstation." Each small test reaffirmed Zora's grace, patience, and kind nature, impressing Ngozi further. At the same time, Chidi began to notice Zora's quiet strength and intelligence. Her thoughtful insights during team discussions and her dedication to her work intrigued him. He found himself seeking her input more often, their conversations becoming increasingly casual and comfortable. For the first time in years, Chidi felt a genuine connection. Amora, however, wasn't done scheming. She decided to escalate her efforts, organizing a lavish team lunch for the senior staff and ensuring Zora was left off the guest list. When Zora discovered she hadn't been invited, she simply shrugged it off and returned to her work. But Ngozi, ever watchful, noticed the snub. She discreetly stepped in, ensuring Zora received a late invitation. Mama Chika delivered the message with a warm smile, saying, "You should join them, my dear. You deserve to be there." Zora hesitated but eventually agreed, arriving at the lunch and unintentionally stealing the spotlight with her simplicity and genuine charm. Amora sided in silent fury, her jealousy now a raging storm. The battle lines had been drawn and the stakes were about to rise. Late one evening, Ngozi Okoye lingered near the break room at Okoye Tech Ventures, her disguise as Mama Chika allowing her to observe unnoticed. She heard a soft voice coming from the adjacent hallway and realized it was Zora Nwosu. Curiosity piqued, Ngozi moved closer, careful not to intrude but unable to ignore the emotion in Zora's tone. "Don't worry, Hugo," Zora said gently, speaking to her younger brother on the phone. "I'll find a way to pay for your school fees. Just focus on your studies, okay?" A pause followed, during which Zora's voice softened even more. "I know things are tight, but we'll manage. We always do. I don't need help from anyone, I'll figure it out." Ngozi felt her heart tighten. She could hear the strain in Zora's voice, the quiet strength of a young woman shouldering immense responsibility without complaint. It was clear Zora's financial struggles ran deep, yet her independence and refusal to seek assistance highlighted her integrity and resilience. For Ngozi, this moment cemented her belief. Zora was a woman of substance, someone who could see beyond wealth and status, a perfect match for her son, Chidi. While Ngozi's admiration for Zora deepened, Amora Adigwe was hatching her next scheme. With the annual charity gala fast approaching, Amora saw an opportunity to publicly undermine Zora. She began spreading malicious rumors, whispering that Zora was dating Chidi as a calculated move to climb the corporate ladder. Her lies spread quickly, creating an air of suspicion around Zora. Despite her hesitations, Zora agreed to attend the gala after encouragement from her colleagues. Borrowing a simple but elegant gown from a friend, she arrived at the event, her natural beauty and quiet confidence setting her apart from the extravagantly dressed crowd. Chidi, noticing her understated elegance, couldn't help but gravitate toward her. As the night progressed, Amora saw her chance. She made a pointed remark within earshot of several attendees, implying that Zora's presence at the gala was inappropriate. "It's nice to see the scholarship program being represented," Amora said with a faux-sweet smile, her words dripping with condescension. The room fell quiet, and Zora's cheeks flushed. Before Zora could respond, Ngozi, still in her disguise, stepped in. "Is it inappropriate to recognize talent and hard work?" she said firmly, her voice cutting through the tension. Encouraged by Ngozi's support, Zora delivered a presentation on her recent tech innovations, captivating the audience with her intelligence and vision. Even Chidi looked on with pride. Amora, sitting on the sidelines, realized her plan to humiliate Zora had not only failed but backfired spectacularly. Meanwhile, Ngozi smiled quietly, more convinced than ever of Zora's strength and suitability for her son. Amora Adigwe paced in her office, her sharp mind racing as the pieces began to fall into place. Something about Mama Chika, the unassuming cleaner, had been gnawing at her for weeks. The woman seemed to be everywhere, at important events, always at the right moment to support Zora Nwosu, and even subtly influencing key decisions. Amora's suspicions grew until one evening, she stumbled upon the truth. A stray document, carelessly left on a desk, revealed Mama Chika's true identity as Ngozi Okoye, the matriarch of the powerful Okoye family. Armed with this revelation, Amora saw an opportunity to regain control. She confronted Ngozi in a quiet corner of the office late one evening, her tone dripping with false politeness. "Or should I say, Mrs. Okoye?" Amora said, a sly smile on her face. "It's fascinating how much time you've been spending playing undercover cleaner." Ngozi, calm and composed, met Amora's gaze. "You've done your homework, Amora. I suppose I should congratulate you." Amora leaned in, her voice low but threatening. "Let's skip the pleasantries, shall we? I know who you are, and I know why you're here. If you don't want your little charade exposed to the entire company, you'll ensure my promotion. I think Vice President of Public Relations has a nice ring to it." Ngozi smiled faintly, unruffled by the threat. "You're ambitious, I'll give you that," she said, her tone measured. "But ambition without integrity is a dangerous thing, Amora. I suggest you tread carefully." Unbeknownst to Amora, Ngozi had been quietly gathering evidence of her unethical behavior for weeks. She had intercepted emails, documented false reports, and even recorded several of Amora's attempts to undermine Zora. Ngozi knew it was only a matter of time before Amora's downfall. Later that evening, Ngozi decided it was time to reveal the truth to her son, Chidi. She found him in his private office, reviewing reports. "Chidi," she began, her voice steady but gentle, "there's something I need to tell you." Chidi looked up, startled. "Mama. What is it?" Taking a deep breath, Ngozi explained her undercover mission. She recounted her time as Mama Chika, her observations of the employees, and her efforts to find someone who could love him for who he was, not his wealth. She shared her admiration for Zora, highlighting her humility, kindness, and resilience. Chidi listened in silence, his emotions shifting from shock to frustration, and finally, understanding. "You should have told me," he said quietly. "But I can't deny that Zora is exceptional." The next day, during a company-wide meeting, Ngozi and Chidi took center stage. Ngozi addressed the employees, her voice calm but firm. "We have uncovered evidence of unethical behavior within our company," she announced. Chidi stepped forward, presenting the gathered evidence, emails, false reports, and sabotage attempts, all traced back to Amora. The room buzzed with shock as Amora's face turned pale. "This is ridiculous," she stammered, but the evidence was irrefutable. Chidi's voice cut through her protest. "Amora, your actions have not only harmed this company but have also tarnished your own reputation. You're fired, effective immediately." As security escorted Amora out, her facade of confidence crumbled. Meanwhile, Zara, watching from the sidelines, felt a surge of gratitude toward Ngozi and Chidi. The truth had prevailed, and Amora's schemes had finally come to an end. After a long day at Okoye Tech Ventures, Chidi Okoye approached Zora Nwosu as she prepared to leave. His usually composed demeanor seemed slightly more hesitant, almost shy. "Zara," he began, his voice softer than usual, "would you mind taking a walk with me? There's something I'd like to talk about." Zara looked at him curiously, wondering what he could possibly want to say. She nodded, and the two strolled out of the office into the quiet streets of Lagos. The city lights sparkled in the distance as they walked side by side, the evening breeze cooling the air. For a while, neither spoke, the silence stretching between them until Chidi finally broke it. "I owe you an apology," he said, turning to face her. "I know the rumors Amora spread must have been uncomfortable for you, and I'm sorry for not stepping in sooner. The truth is," he hesitated, searching for the right words. "The truth is, I've been drawn to you from the moment I noticed your dedication and your kindness. You're different, Zara. You're not like anyone I've met. Zara stopped walking, startled by his confession. Chidi, she said cautiously, I appreciate your words, but you're a billionaire. I'm just a junior employee trying to support my family. We come from such different worlds. Chidi smiled, his eyes warm and honest. That doesn't matter to me, Zara. What matters is your intelligence, your resilience, and your heart. You faced challenges most people couldn't imagine, and you've done it with grace. That's what I admire about you. Zara's heart softened, though her logical mind still held reservations. But what about your family? People like Amora. There will always be people who think I'm not good enough for you. My family doesn't see things that way, Chidi assured her, his tone unwavering. And as for people like Amora, they don't matter. What matters is how I feel, and how you feel. The sincerity in his voice made Zara's reservations begin to crumble. She nodded slowly, a small smile tugging at her lips. I'll think about it, Chidi. A few days later, Zara received an unexpected invitation from Ngozi Okoye. The note, delivered with a driver, requested her presence at the Okoye family mansion that evening. Nervous but curious, Zara accepted. The Okoye mansion was every bit as grand as Zara had imagined, its sprawling gardens and elegant architecture exuding wealth and history. She was greeted warmly by Ngozi, who led her into a cozy sitting room. Zara, my dear, Ngozi began, her eyes sparkling with warmth, I owe you the truth. For weeks, I've been observing you as Mama Chika. I wanted to find someone who could see my son for who he truly is, beyond his wealth and status. And I found you. Zara's eyes widened in surprise. You were Mama Chika? Ngozi nodded, smiling. I was. And I've been rooting for you all along. You're everything I hoped for in someone who could bring out the best in Chidi. Zara was overwhelmed by the revelation, unsure how to respond. I don't know what to say, she finally managed. I never expected any of this. Just keep being yourself, my dear, Ngozi said, placing a reassuring hand on Zara's shoulder. That's more than enough. A few weeks later, Chidi asked Zara to meet him at a local community center. When she arrived, she found him standing beside a group of excited children and a projector displaying an app prototype. This, Chidi began, gesturing to the screen, is the app you've been working on. I've taken the liberty of funding its development. It's going to provide educational resources to underprivileged children, just like you envisioned. Zara was speechless. Tears welled up in her eyes as she turned to Chidi. You did this? For me. For you, and for them, he said, smiling. I believe in your dreams, Zara. This is just the beginning. Overwhelmed, Zara hugged him tightly, her heart filled with gratitude and affection. In that moment, she realized that Chidi wasn't just a billionaire, he was someone who truly cared about her and her values. The connection between them deepened as they spent the evening laughing with the children, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. Together, they were building something far more meaningful than wealth or status, a relationship founded on respect, shared values, and genuine love. The days following her dismissal from Okoye Tech Ventures were some of the hardest of Amora Adigu's life. For the first time, she was forced to confront the consequences of her actions. Sitting alone in her small apartment, she reflected on the choices that had led her here, her jealousy, ambition, and willingness to harm others to climb the ladder of success. She realized she had lost not only her job but also the respect of her peers. Determined to turn her life around, Amora sought a fresh start. She applied to a smaller firm, humbly taking on a less glamorous role. Though it was a step down, it gave her the opportunity to rebuild her career with integrity. Over time, Amora began to focus on improving herself, vowing never to let her ambition overshadow her ethics again. She realized that success meant nothing if it wasn't earned with honesty. Slowly but surely, she began to regain her confidence and her sense of purpose. Meanwhile, Ngozi Okoye sat on the veranda of the family mansion, reflecting on the journey that had led her to this moment. She had taken a bold and unconventional step to ensure her son, Chidi, found a partner who loved him for who he truly was. Watching Chidi and Zora Nwosu together, Ngozi couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of pride. Her plan had worked, and she had not only helped her son but also witnessed the growth of a remarkable young woman in Zora. As she sipped her tea, Ngozi thought back to her time as Mama Chika. It had been humbling to step out of her world of luxury and experience life from a different perspective. The experience had deepened her respect for people like Zora, who worked tirelessly and lived with grace despite their challenges. Now, seeing the love and respect that Chidi and Zora had for one another, Ngozi felt her heart swell with fulfillment. Zora and Chidi's relationship blossomed as they found balance between their personal and professional lives. Zora's warmth and resilience helped Chidi open up emotionally, softening his once guarded demeanor. At the same time, Chidi became a mentor to Zora, guiding her as her career flourished. Together, they made a formidable team, complementing each other's strengths and growing stronger as a couple. At a grand company event where Zora's educational app was officially launched, the hall buzzed with excitement as Chidi stood beside Zora, introducing the project to a captivated audience. Zora, glowing with pride and humility, spoke passionately about her vision for the app and the impact it could have on underprivileged communities. From the audience, Ngozi watched the scene with tears in her eyes. Her son, once closed off and skeptical of love, was now standing proudly beside the woman who had brought light into his life. As Zora and Chidi shared a private smile, it was clear that their journey was just beginning, a new chapter filled with love, purpose, and endless possibilities. For Ngozi, nothing could have been more perfect. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe our African Folktales channel.